Day. Our councillors consist of Councillor Mockford and Councillor DeBell. Are there any other interested parties? If they would introduce themselves, we would appreciate that, please. Mr. Bryant, would you?
Jonathan Bryant, Senior Licensing Officer for Mid Sussex District Council.
Thank you. Any other interested parties, please?
Peter Aston, West Sussex Trading Standards Service.
Thank you very much. And our legal advisor?
Nathan Mountney.
Thank you very much. Right, can I ask Councillor Mockford to read out the fire escape procedure?
The building fire alarm signal is a continuous two-tone alarm. On hearing the evacuation alarm, leave the building by the nearest marked exit route. Follow the green signs to the assembly point, which is the large staff car park opposite the entrance to the building. Anyone who cannot use the stairs will be helped by the officers present after other people have left. Do not return to the building until told it is safe to do so by an authorised officer. The whole of the council site is a no smoking area. Filming from the public gallery is not permitted, but members must refrain from filming within the council chamber so as not to distract the meeting, and mobile phones must be switched to silent. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. To receive apologies of absence, I have one from West Sussex County Council Public Health, have sent in their apologies. Are there any other apologies for absence? Okay, thank you. To receive declarations of interest from members in respect of any matter on the agenda. Have I any declarations of interest?
None.
None? Thank you very much. Right, the procedure the licensing panel will follow in considering the application is set out in the Licensing Act 2003, its attendant regulations, and was agreed by the Licensing Committee on 2nd of February 2005. The licensing panel, in accordance with Rule 14 of the Licensing Act 2003 hearings, Regulations 2005, decide to exclude the public from all or part of the hearing where the licensing panel considers that it is in the public interest to do so. All right. Our next item is to confirm the minutes of the previous meetings held on 19th December 2022, 10th February 2023, and 3rd of March 2023. Councillor Mockford, you were the one that was present at all three. Are they agreed?
I'm happy to agree them.
Thank you very much. Agreed. Let us go on to item number 4, application to review premises license, Licensing Act 2003. I believe this is when I ask Mr. Bryant, our Senior Licensing Officer, to introduce this topic, please.
Thank you, Chair, members. The report before yourselves this morning is to provide information for you to determine an application to review a premises licence, which is held at Aira Food and Wine in Burgess Hill, and the application has been submitted by West Sussex Trading Standards. You have Mr. Aston from Trading Standards, the team manager here, in respect to the application, and you also have Mr. Chowdhury, who's the premises licence holder, and DPS, who's also present here. The application, which is attached to Appendix 1 of the papers, pursuant to Section 51 of the Licensing Act, has been made by Trading Standards for a review of a premises licence, namely the licence at Aira Food and Wine, which is at 12 Station Road, Burgess Hill. And the grounds for the review relate to the licensing objectives of the prevention of crime and disorder and the protection of children from harm. The application in particular cites the sale of alcohol to a child during a test purchase operation conducted by Trading Standards on the 8th of February this year. During the consultation period to further responsible authorities, the Sussex Police and West Sussex County Council Public Health have also submitted representations in support of the application. Therefore, the panel must determine this matter on the evidence presented to it during the hearing, having due regard to the Licensing Act of 2003, the Mid-Sussex District Council licensing policy, and the Home Office guidance, which is issued under Section 182 of the Licensing Act. Now, as background, the premises is situated at 12 Station Road, Burgess Hill. It's been licensed for the sale of alcohol for consumption off the premises since April 2010. The premises licence was transferred to the current premises licence holder, Mr. Chowdhury, on the 8th of June 2015, and he is also the designated premises supervisor. I've set out the timings for the licensable activity during the day in the report. You'll see it's Monday to Saturday, 10 a.m. till 10:30 p.m, and Sunday, 12 noon till 9 o'clock in the evening, 2100 hours. For those members who are not au fait with the location of the premises, it's a convenience store located in Burgess Hill Town Centre near to the railway station, and there are photos of the store which I would lead the panel through at Appendix 3. There are a number of conditions which are currently attached to the licence, which are in addition to the mandatory conditions, and these are set out at paragraph 9 of the report. They mainly surround the CCTV system and also the proof of age and staff training. Trading Standards have applied for a review of the premises licence based on the sale of alcohol to a child which took place during a test purchasing operation that they conducted on the 8th of February this year. They state that they had previously received information of underage sales at the premises. They subsequently conducted a visit to the store in September 2022, when advice was given to Mr. Chowdhury regarding the sale of age-restricted products. They provided further advice to ensure that staff were properly trained, and a copy of the advice was provided to Mr. Chowdhury. On the 8th of February, staff at the store sold alcohol to a child during the test purchasing operation. Therefore, Trading Standards contend that there's a failure of management at the premises to promote the licensing objectives, and they consider that a review of the premises licence is necessary to limit further criminal activity by the licence holder and to act as a deterrent against such illegal conduct. I have attached at Appendix 4 the full details of the Trading Standards investigation, and it may well be that Mr. Aston will lead the panel through various relevant parts of that in due course. The Trading Standards submit the licence holder has failed in the responsibilities to protect children from harm, and request that consideration is given to suspending the premises licence for a period of 3 months. The review application was correctly advertised at the site. Sussex Police have submitted representations in support of the application, again on the grounds of the prevention of crime and disorder and the protection of children from harm. Their representations are detailed and attached at Appendix 5. In brief, they state that they are particularly concerned that in this case alcohol was sold to a child during the test purchase exercise. They note that prior to the test purchase, advice was given to the management of the premises by Trading Standards, and this advice revolved around underage sales and the sale of other age-restricted products. They also consider that a suspension period of 3 months is appropriate in this case. In addition to the suspension of the premises licence, Sussex Police invite the committee to consider updating the current premises licence conditions by replacing all the existing conditions at Annex 2, which are detailed at paragraph 9, with modern conditions, and a schedule of the proposed offered conditions, or suggested conditions, I should say, from Sussex Police are attached to Appendix 6. West Sussex County Council Public Health have also submitted representations in support of the application, again on the same grounds of prevention of crime and disorder and the protection of children from harm. And again, their representations are attached in full at Appendix 7. In brief, they state that the sale of alcohol to children is of extreme concern, considering the strong evidence demonstrating the harms caused by alcohol to children and young people. They highlight that the premises licence holder had recently received both verbal and written advice about the sale of age-restricted products, including advice on staff training. The subsequent sale of alcohol to a person under the age of 18 indicates that this advice had not been acted upon and suggests a disregard of the law. They state that they are disappointed to learn the sale of alcohol to the child and endorse the recommendations made in the review application by Trading Standards. They detail some further information for the panel in respect of the harm caused to children and young persons within the West Sussex area, and in particular the young people in the Mid Sussex district. As stated, they are supportive of the recommendations of Trading Standards and also invite the committee to consider additional conditions being attached to the current licence. Mr Chowdhury is present and obviously will explain the incident to the panel and answer any questions that the panel may have. Mr Chowdhury did send an email through on the 2nd of June, which I will read out to yourselves, and I'm sure that he will expand on during his representations to you. He states that I'm writing to confirm that I've received the supporting documents you've sent me via email and post. I will be attending the hearing. I will be attending the hearing alone. I understand that a minor was served alcohol at my store, Aira Food and Wine, by my employee, Melhu Kumar Chowdhury. I take full responsibility for this mistake. We serve over 100 customers every day and more than 30% of them are minors. We have been in business for 9 years and have never served alcohol to a minor before. We have been inspected by the Council and National Lottery many times and we have never failed an inspection. We provide all our employees with the necessary training and coaching. We also maintain all the legal documents and training records required by the local council and the government. I have shown these documents to the council officer. I understand that Mehul Kumar Chowdhury made a mistake by selling alcohol to a minor. He is new to the job and moreover, he was not aware of where my wife kept the documents after cleaning and arranging all the documents because my wife recently cleaned the store and rearranged all the stuff, so he could not find the documents in their usual location. I've taken this matter very seriously. I have provided further training to all my employees and have increased the frequency of our training. I have also implemented a new policy of regularly checking that all the legal documents are up to date and in their proper place. I understand that this is a serious matter, but I would like to assure you that this is the first time that this has happened in our 9 years of business. I have taken all the necessary steps to ensure that it never happens again. I will be happy to provide you with any further information that you may need. Moving on in the report, the legal context is the review has been applied for under Section 51(1) of the Licensing Act 2003. Section 52 deals with the determination of the review, and when we go to subsection 2, it states that before determining the application, the authority must hold a hearing to consider it and any relevant representations. The section goes on to state that the authority must, having regard to the application and any relevant representations, take such steps that are mentioned in subsection 4, brackets, if any, that it considers appropriate for the promotion of the licensing objectives. And these steps are to modify the conditions of the licence, to exclude a licensable activity from the scope of the licence, to remove the designated premises supervisor, to suspend the licence for a period not exceeding 3 months, or to revoke the licence. At paragraph 20 of the report, the licensing objectives are outlined, and the Act of 2003 requires representations to address one or all of the 4 licensing objectives, which are the prevention of crime and disorder, the promotion of public safety, the prevention of public nuisance, and protection of children from harm. Further set out is the guidance issued, the relevant guidance issued under Section 182 of the Licensing Act. At 11.19, it reiterates the legislation, giving the steps which the licensing authority may take if they consider it appropriate. At 11.12 of the statutory guidance, it states, in deciding which of these powers to invoke, it is expected that licensing authorities should, so far as possible, seek to establish the cause or causes of the concerns that the representations identify. The remedial actions taken should generally be directed at these causes and should always be no more than is appropriate and proportionate in response to address the causes of concern that instigated the review. Section 1127 which has been summarised, states that there is certain criminal activity that may arise in connection with licensed premises which should be treated particularly seriously. These are the use of licensed premises for the illegal purchase and consumption of alcohol by minors, which impacts on the health, educational attainment, employment prospects and propensity for crime of young people. And at 1128, it states that it is envisaged that licensing authorities, the police, the Home Office and other law enforcement agencies, which are responsible authorities, will use the review procedures effectively to deter such activities and crime. Where reviews arise and the licensing authority determines that the crime prevention objective is being undermined through premises being used for further crimes, it is expected that revocation of the licence, even in first instance, should be seriously considered. Just to outline the appendices for the panel. At Appendices 1, we have the application for review. At Appendices 2, there is the full current premises licence. At 3, there are some photographs of the site, the first ones being photographs of the outside of the premises, and the subsequent photographs of the counter area, the displays, and the Challenge 25 signs, which are displayed within the store. Appendix 4 has full details of the Trade and Standards investigation papers, which they have forwarded to us. Only items there which I would point out to you is that it does contain copies of the training records for the premises and a copy of the refusal register. At page 61 of Appendix 4, I would point out that that contains a response to questions under caution, which Mr. Chowdhury gave. Page 75 has the Trade and Standards copy of the advice visit record, which took place in the September, and the follow-up letter. Page 85 is the appendix with the Sussex Police representations. Page 89 is the appendix it's Appendix 6 with the suggested conditions, and Appendix 7 is the full West Sussex County Council Public Health representation. That is the report before the panel this morning. Obviously, I'm available if the panel have any questions in respect of the report.
Thank you, Mr. Bryan. If we start, shall I start with the panel? Any councillors to address Mr. Bryan's the report? Do you have any particular questions at this time? Councillor DeBell? No? So, Mr. Chowdhury, you can address questions to Mr. Bryan. You will have an opportunity to present your case, but first we wish to address questions to Mr. Bryan, if you have any pertinent to what he has just said.
Hello. Thank you very much for inviting me here, and a special thank you for the all chamber members, chair members. I'm sorry, it's my first time, so I'm a little bit nervous. The thing is, question-wise, I do not have any questions because whatever Mr. Bryan said, everything is, I do accept and understand the mistake has happened in my store, and it has been done by one of my colleagues, Mr. Mehul Kumar Chowdhury, dated on 8th of February.
So, if you have no questions directly with Mr. Bryan, you will have an opportunity to state your case in a minute. Mr. Ashton, have you any questions directly to Mr. Bryan's report?
No, Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. In which case, and the panel have no questions, so if we go to Mr. Chowdhury, if you'd like to present your case, you will have to speak up probably a bit louder and quite slowly for us, please.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Okay, hello everyone. Thank you very much. My name is Mr. Mahesh Kumar Chowdhury, and I am a designated premises supervisor for Arya Food and Wine, address at 12 Station Road, Burgess Hill, RH15 9DQ. I know that dated on 8th of February 2023, my colleague has served an alcohol to a minor, and he has accepted that he made the mistake, even though his full training was given. I know that he has recently joined the shop. I mean, he joined before or a year ago, and then he left in between, and then rejoined 2 months ago. I did provide him training before as well, and provided him further training when he rejoined again. So from my side, I have done every single thing that I could do. I did explain him that what is the importance of the training and records and everything. So I had everything. I did everything from my side, whatever I could. As Mr. Mehul Kumar Chaudhary stated that he did make the mistake and he has been misunderstood about the age of the girl. She was on the store dated on 8th of February and she was over 17. So he thought that the girl, well, it is especially for him, he said it is harder to judge the age of the girls actually, because she was looking slightly, I mean, around 18 or something. But anyway, that was his mistake. He must have challenged her until the age of 25. That's why we go policy of age 25. And he must have followed that, but he failed to do so. And I take the responsibilities. Okay, so he has accepted that the training, Mr. Mehul Kumar Chaudhary has also mentioned that the training has been given and it is further training has been given as well on when he rejoined again. But he actually at that time, Mr. Chaudhary, the gentleman and the council officer, they asked for the refusal book. We had up-to-date refusal book all the time. And he would not able to provide the training record because I think just before a week ago, my wife has recently cleaned the store and that's why the paper was misplaced at that time and he could not find the right place where it usually should be. So that's why he could not provide the document. He called me over the phone. I did explain him over the phone as well that where the documents are, but still he could not find and he did not prefer to touch some of my documents as he thought would be important. But documents were there and I think everything I have provided to Mr. Brian, even like including the premises age verification policy, authorization of sales, staff training record, refusal book, displayed under 25 challenge notice. There is a reminder in the till as well that we show to the officer as well. Designated premises supervisor form, fire risk assessment books, and every single thing that is illegal to do so, it was available in my store. Even after this failing, I have word with Mr. Mehul Kumar Chaudhary and even every single team member that, okay, make sure it does not happen it again and what are the harm. And I am also aware that some cases has happened in a Worthing and Brighton area that the underage guys, they have just stolen and bought the alcohol and what the mistake has happened and they end up at that died even. Some cases has happened. So I am aware about it. I take the responsibilities. But mistake has happened, and honestly, this is not particularly. I have did everything whatever I should have done.
Okay.
As a DPS, I have done everything. Even I have retrained him again. I have increased even after this incident. I have increased the frequency of my training. Like every 2 months, I take the training. I make sure I just train them, and also if any single cases happen around, I explain them in a proper way. So even I did my best, even I do check the CCTV more frequently, every weekly even, and I also check that, okay, my logbook, refusal book has been up to date every weekly basis. So that's what I'm doing. But the other thing actually is, if something, as Mr. Brian said, the suspension of my license. So the mistake has happened by Mr. Mehul Kumar Chaudhary, and also especially with the kids who are really buying the alcohol from the shops, and sometimes if they do not get it, they are stealing even. Okay. There are so many cases, even we have called to the police as well so many times. Police guys, they come sometime, they check it, they check all our CCTVs and everything, but after that even there is no any further action. I have never heard of that any policeman that they never came back to me and said something.
Okay, thank you very much. That is an issue, of course, which we're not really dealing with, is the police activity at the moment.
Please.
Just to clarify, to your mind, I ask a couple of questions. So the record keeping, which was not found when it looked for, was because it was somewhere else, put in another place, and your employee didn't know where it was?
Everything was ready, apart from the training record that was a little bit on the side. Apart from that, every single thing, I think most of things, I think the council officer has seen the like refusal book and all these 25 challenge books, all like our license was displayed. Everything was
Thank
there,
you.
apart from
Thank
one
you.
one or two papers, I think, hardly.
And the employee had worked with you previously, then had been away, and he had come back and had only been employed for a couple of months before this incident? Okay. Now, is there anything else relevant to this that you'd like to say? I think you've explained a lot. Yes?
Sorry, I would request that please and please to not give me any punishment, because this is the business is only me and my family are surviving on.
Okay.
So I do take the responsibilities, and I did take every single action that I could have taken. But this business is really very important for me and my family, and I will make sure, and I promise it would never ever happen again. But please
Thank you very
understand that.
much. Thank you very much for your statement. So, panel, have you any particular questions to do with Mr. Chardwick?
Yes, please, if I
Councillor
may.
DeBelle.
Is this on now? Is that on?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Chowdhury, I don't think that any of us are in any doubt about how important your store is for you and your family, as you've quoted. The problem is, as I understand it, this matter arose where they conducted a test because there were previous things that had been observed, and they ran a test to check out that you'd actually fulfilled the requirement previously put to you to make sure to be for the training and everything else. And the problem is that you failed the test, as I understand it. That is the real problem, because it's sort of, where do we go from here? We can't keep, they can't keep saying, do this, testing it and finding that you're not doing. That's as I see it at the moment. Is that a fair summation?
I'm sorry, sir, but the thing is, before I had so many test purchases before as well, since last 9 or 10 years of period. I have passed every single thing. Even I got certificate from the National Lottery that shows that you have successfully completed all past tests as well. If you'd like to, I can present you. So I have hardly failed. Mostly I was there all the time and I was doing my best. So it was never been intention to do that. But as a new team member, he has done it, and I have really very strict approach to him to make sure it never happen again. So I do accept, but please, the punishment comes to me and that affects to others. So I will make sure it would never happen again. And I'm aware about this
Thank you.
harmful situation. Thank you.
Councillor Motley, any questions?
Yes, I do. What percentage of your sales are alcohol related?
Over 70%.
Over 70%. Are your books now, your training books, all in the shop?
Yeah,
And they're all in one place where everybody knows where they are?
exactly. Mr. Brian came after that. He visited me and everything was there. Even I got a full bundle today, and it is always in the store. And I would definitely make sure it would there all the time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Bryan, have you any questions for Mr. Chari?
No, Chair. No questions for Mr. Chowdhury.
Thank you. Mr. Ashton, have you any questions?
No, Chair, I haven't got any specific questions, but I will be covering quite a lot of the points that Mr. Chowdhury made in my representation.
Okay, so thank you very much. Mr. Ashton, would you like to present your case, please?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, John, for your detailed report. So some of the information I may well repeat, and I apologise for that. But I do want to cover off quite a lot of information. So West Sussex County Council Trading Standards have instigated a standard review of the premise licence under Section 51 of the Licensing Act 2003. We respectfully invite the Licensing Authority Committee to review the premise licence of AR Chowdhury Wine Limited, trading as AR Food and Wine at 12 Station Road, and determine if it is appropriate to revoke or suspend the licence, invoke specific conditions to the current licence, or remove the DPS, Mr. Chowdhury. Trading Standards believes this premises is undermining the licensing objectives regarding the prevention of crime and disorder, the protection of children from harm. Trading Standards' purpose for making the review application is to ensure breaches of relevant legislation are brought to the attention of the Licensing Committee in order for them to consider the matter fully and consider available options. As the committee may be aware, as far back as October 2021, West Sussex County Council issued a press release warning businesses there would be a county-wide crackdown on underage sales following a previous test purchase operation where 9 out of 16 shops tested sold alcohol and cigarettes to children. There has also been significant coverage about our work since then relating to Sussex News Littlehampton, where they received a suspension and removal of the DPS, OM Food and Wine, Worthing, where we revoked the licence, Price Watch Storrington, a 3-month suspension, Nick Retail at Selsey Convenience Store, a 3-month suspension, Ashman Express Trading as Choices in Horsham, 1-month suspension and the licence amended to impose additional conditions, and more recently, Justin Retail Limited at Bognor, where they received a 2-month suspension. There has also been revocations linked to underage sales to children, but also involved other criminal activity, and these have not been reported upon. COVID restrictions had significant impact on the ability of Trading Standards to undertake underage sales enforcement work, and we were concerned following an increase in intelligence across the county that some businesses were taking advantage of the situation by selling a range of harmful age-restricted products to children. Not only was this causing harm to children, but it was also unfair to legitimate businesses that were complying with the law. Unfortunately, the sale of restricted products, particularly vapes, has continued, and we therefore took the decision in January 2022 to instigate a zero-tolerance policy in respect of the sale of alcohol to children. In short, this states West Sussex Trading Standards has a zero tolerance to the sale of alcohol to children, and where we have sufficient evidence to show this has taken place, we will seek a review of the business alcohol licence with the aim of having the licence suspended or revoked, unless there are exceptional circumstances. The seller and business will also be subject to enforcement action in line with our published enforcement policy. This approach would be following the business having been fully advised previously by way of a personal visit, and with the owner, director and the advice followed up in writing. So as part of this policy, we agreed that the following steps would be taken. We'd engage with the alcohol licence review process to assist in tackling the illegal supply of tobacco, alcohol and other restricted products to children. We'd conduct intelligence-led test purchasing operations. In my experience, this intelligence usually comes directly or indirectly from concerned parents and residents, school teachers or affected businesses. As part of our approach, all instances are followed up. We give robust advice to businesses who are reported to us as selling age-restricted products to children, and we take appropriate and proportionate enforcement action. And we utilise zero-tolerance messaging around the underage sales of alcohol, in particular to children. And I've got a few press releases that we've done over a period of time to try and warn businesses that this is the approach that we are taking. And I'll show those to the committee if they're interested. Unfortunately, intelligence report to Trading Standards of business selling restricted products to children appears to have escalated despite the efforts of Trading Standards and the police. As the committee will be aware, the sales of vapes to children is of particular concern. And so a brief outline of the incident. In August 2022, intelligence was received by West Sussex Trading Standards alleging that an underage sale of alcohol took place at Air Food and Wine. On the 12th of September 2022, Chowdhury Wine received an advice visit by appointment from West Sussex Trading Standards. Advice was given to the director, Mr. Chowdhury, about the Licensing Act regarding underage sales of alcohol and the sale of other restricted products. Mr. Chowdhury was advised not to sell age-restricted products to those under 18 by asking for driving licences and passport identification. The Challenge 25 policy to check any identification for those looking under 25 was explained to the business. The business was told not to sell age-restricted products if identification to prove the buyer was over 18 was not provided. The business was advised to train staff to check for identification should the buyer look under 25 and to record all refusals in a log. On the 12th of September 2022, the last refusal in the logbook was dated 9th of the 9th, 2022 for tobacco inhaling product called an elk bar. The Chartered Trading Standards Institute provide free written guidance on trading standards legislation, giving business advice on how to ensure compliance. This is called the Business Companion and is available online to read electronically or print off as leaflets. Printed Business Companion guidance for selling alcohol, tobacco and nicotine inhaling products was provided to Mr. Chowdhury. He was advised to use these to train his staff. No training log was produced during the visit. Mr. Chowdhury stated that logs were at his home address. Till prompts to ask for proof of age were coming up on the tills to remind staff to ask for identification before selling age-restricted products. It was also explained to Mr. Chowdhury that West Sussex Trading Standards would be doing a future test purchase with a child volunteer, and if Air Food and Wine failed our test purchase, it could result in the alcohol licence being revoked. A visit report confirming the advice was given and completed and handed to Mr. Chowdhury to sign. Mr. Chowdhury was provided with a copy of this report. And then on the 14th of September 2022, a letter was sent to Mr. Chowdhury reiterating the advice he had received. And also the policy in regards to zero tolerance. On the 8th of February 2023, during a controlled operation, alcohol was sold to a child by Mr. Chowdhury, an employee of Chowdhury Wine Limited. The sale was witnessed by Laura Darby, a senior trading standards officer. During the transaction, Mr. Chowdhury didn't ask the child volunteer for any age identification or even ask how old she was. Mr. Chowdhury stated he'd been working at Aldi Food and Wine for almost a year and had had training on age-restricted products every 2 months, where he was told to check for identification. No training records were provided by Mr. Chowdhury. He stated they were kept at the manager's house. On the 8th of the 2nd, 2023, the last refusal entry was dated 19th of the 1st, 2023. The till prompts were working at the time. This sale took place contrary to section 146 of the Licensing Act, which carries a penalty of a fine, as well as being contrary to the terms of the premise alcohol licence. Following a written interview under caution, Mr. Chowdhury stated that the seller had only been in post for 2.5 months, despite Mr. Chowdhury advising Laura Darby, the senior trading standards officer, that he had worked at Air Food and Wine for just under a year. Mr. Chowdhury also stated that the seller thought the volunteer was 18. Mr. Chowdhury confirmed that the seller had full training on age-restricted policy products, the age limits and what identification needed to be checked. Mr. Chowdhury states that the seller was trained regarding the refusals log on the 15th of the 1st, 2023, and a signed training log for Mr. Chowdhury was being provided to evidence this. It appears Mr. Chowdhury was first employed by Mr. Chowdhury, sorry, they're very similar names, I'm afraid, sorry about that, in 2021 and returned in 2023 when the training was redone on the 15th of the 1st, 2023. No training records were shown for regular training between 21st of the 10th, 2021 and the 15th of the 1st, 2023. The training records also show that there were no age-restricted training provided until the 15th of the 1st, 2023, shortly before the illegal sale took place, according to the documents produced afterwards. Mr. Chowdhury confirms he received the advice letter from Natasha Ali and claims to have subsequently retrained staff as well as monitoring the refusals log weekly. Mr. Chowdhury provided the following documents: premise age verification policy, written authorisation for the sale of alcohol, staff training records for Mr. Chowdhury, and a refusals log dated the 27th of the 9th, 2022 until the 15th of the 1st, 2023, showing mainly vapes but some alcohol refusals, with a notably big increase in logs since the 8th of the 2nd, 2023, the time that we did the visit, and the alcohol was sold to our child. I would bring to the committee's attention that some of these documents were signed off shortly before the offence took place and were not available at the premises for inspection by trading standards, as they were kept at home. Mr. Chowdhury did provide them after he was formally interviewed, however. In addition, I would question how effective the training provided to Mr. Chowdhury was on the 15th of the 1st, 2023, as he sold the alcohol to the child on the 8th of the 2nd, 2023, some 25 days later. The refusals log dated the 27th of the 9th, 2022 until the 15th of the 1st, 2023 shows mainly vapes but some alcohol refusals, but as I said, with a significant increase in log refusals after the date of the test purchase, when alcohol was sold to our child volunteer. Therefore, the responsible authority do not have confidence the licensing objectives are or will be promoted by the continuation of licensable activities at these premises, and deem it both proportionate and necessary to invite the committee to consider a review of the premise alcohol licence to limit further criminal activity by the licence holder and to act as a deterrent against such illegal conduct. I would also like to draw to the attention of the subcommittee to the Local Government Association Handbook on the Licensing Act 2023, which states, the primary purpose of a review is to act as a deterrent to prevent further breaches. It can also prevent any licensable activities which are causing concern from happening in future, and goes on to list a range of options open to the subcommittee, and you've already heard of your options available. The purpose of a prosecution is punitive, and for licensing offences, a review with a threat of revocation or suspension can often be more of a deterrent. Further reasoning in bringing this review is the Home Office revised guidance of the Licensing Act 2003, which was updated in December 2022. 2.29 of this guidance states licensing authorities should give considerable weight to representations about child protection matters. And 11.10 of the guidance states, where authorised persons and responsible authorities have concerns about problems identified at premises, it is good practice for them to give licence holders early warning of their concerns and the need for improvement, which trading standards did in this case. And then goes on to say, a failure by the holder to respond to such warnings is expected to lead to a decision to apply for a review. And lastly, 11.27 of the Home Office guidance states, there is certain criminal activity that may arise in connection with licensed premises, which should be treated particularly seriously, and these are the use of the licensed premises for the illegal purchase and consumption of alcohol by minors, which impacts on the health, educational attainment, employment prospects, and prosperity for crime of young people. In conclusion, I'm sure you will hear from Mr. Chowdhury that it was a mistake or human error, and he could do nothing more to prevent the sale of alcohol to our child volunteer, and will blame the individual employee for this offence. However, intelligence received by West Sussex County Council Trading Standards suggest alcohol was being sold to children at this premise. Therefore, in view of the licensing, the intelligence received, the warning advice visits made by Trading Standards, the subsequent sale of alcohol made to our child volunteer, we believe Mr. Chowdhury is undermining the licensing objectives, the protection of children from harm, and the prevention of crime and disorder, and Mid Sussex District Council's licensing conditions. West Sussex Trading Standards therefore submits that the committee should consider the suspension of the licence, which we believe would send out a strong message across the district and the county, and where premises are found to be undermining licensing objectives, particularly about child protection matters, robust sanctions are administered. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ashton. For the sake of clarity, because the same last names, Chaudhry, so the gentleman who sold the alcohol to the underage was Mr. Kumar Chaudhry. The gentleman in front of us now, the proprietor, is Mahesh Chaudhry. So it was very confusing, I think, for some of us who might not have read the report. It's a very clear report. Thank you very much, Mr. Ashton, just for that. And I did have another question. You mentioned at the very beginning that you do not have to suspend or revoke a license if there are, and you quoted, exceptional circumstances. I wondered, could you elaborate on exceptional circumstances?
Yes, that was really put in there to to give us some sort of eminence of sort of I suppose wriggle room in terms of not taking a license review. We haven't really come across any sort of exceptional circumstances that would really apply. However, certainly in this case there wasn't any sort of where we felt there was any exceptional circumstances.
Thank you, Mr. Ashton. Panel, Councillor Debelle, any questions?
Yes, please. First of all, I think it's terrific, the things that Trading Standards are doing, because we know that one of the big problems in society today forms around off-licence premises where kids can gather and where they feel that they can get away with getting underage drink. And it is a big problem in society today that causes great problems, particularly in cities and towns, etc. So we commend you for that. Is this Operation Crackdown continuing?
It certainly is, Councillor. Unfortunately, we were out only last week actually, and 4 out of 5 premises sold, either vapes or alcohol. So yes, it will be continuing.
Thank you.
Mr. Bryan, have you any questions?
No, Chair, thank you. No questions from myself.
Okay. And Mr. Chaudhry, have you any questions?
I'm sorry, there's no further questions, but the thing is, most of cases I have gone through some online website as well, and that shows, okay, like 70% of alcohol the child's consuming, they are from their parents' sides. So it's not always mostly the off-license are responsible for that. There are other circumstances, 70% of them are especially from the child's, they are getting from the parents or even their friends' parents, and so there are other circumstances as well.
Okay.
So it's not all forces should come to, especially to the shop owner, because for us it is very, very harder. We are doing our best, following all procedure, but it's not only us who are really responsible for that.
Okay, thank you.
Please.
Thank you very much. Do we have any other questions, panel, regarding this issue? I'm seeking for a bit of legal advice from Mr. Bryan about the conditions which have been put forward on Appendix 6. They're quite elaborate conditions to do with, if I can find it, it was to do with, wasn't it? Yes, delivery, conditions for alcohol delivery service. Now, there's a whole page full, and I'm wondering about the relevance of those to do with the particular issues we're considering. Mr. Bryan, could you help us a bit?
Yes, certainly, Chair. Those have been suggested by the police. What Sussex Police have found is that some premises now, following on from COVID, there's been a lot of home delivery from convenience stores and other stores, and their concern was the sale of alcohol through delivery service, whereas someone would phone up or online order alcohol. When it got delivered, there wouldn't be any checks that it was being delivered to an adult, and not, in essence, to a house party of 16 and 15-year-olds. So therefore, if there is a delivery service from a particular premises, that's the conditions that the police would request are added to the licence to ensure that proper measures are taken to prevent underage sales via delivery service.
So that obviously is the question, is there a delivery service from this particular shop?
I'm sure Mr Chowdhury will be able to clarify that for the panel.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm sorry, but we do not provide any home delivery or services.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All right.
Does he intend to?
Yeah, the following question is, do you intend to provide any delivery service from your shop? No intention, okay. So have we got any questions, legal, Mr. Bryant, councillors, any more questions to do with this? In which case, us panel retire to deliberate the situation, okay? Chairman to ask, okay. So everybody can wait here?
Before we go, Chair, I think just, I've been asked to summarise the situation and just explain what happens next. As you've rightly said, we do retire to another room. Can you all hear me clearly? Thank you. We do retire to another room to discuss the matter, all the relevant representations that have been received and the comments that have been made, and hopefully come to a decision today. If a decision cannot be made today, in any event, a decision will be made within 5 working days and communicated to the applicant, the licence holder, and the authorities that have made relevant representations, which I believe are Trading Standards, Sussex Police and Public Health. On that letter, parties will be informed of the right to appeal the decision within 21 days. And that's very simply it. Does anyone have any questions before we depart? No? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Right, the panel have deliberated this, and we have no reason to doubt the evidence presented by the trading standards, and I believe Mr. Chaudhry has acknowledged this as correct. But the panel cannot ignore the seriousness of this offence. The panel have decided to suspend your license for 2 months and hope that this will provoke you to take this matter very seriously. We also wish to add to your present conditions an additional condition which will read, all such training and refresher training undertaken by staff members every 3 months shall be fully documented and signed and dated by both the employee and the DPS. All training records shall be kept on the premises and made available to officers of any responsible authority upon request. That's the end of this session. Thank you very much for attending.
Thank you.